I somehow missed this, and I don't know why. Usually, I get some of my updates from home, from the home page, and it just shows like updates to all the games I have. Here, it didn't show up at all, so I discovered this late. But apparently, there's a beta patch, 0.7.987. A new patch is open for testing. So this is like, do I have to? Let's see. I'm trying to figure out if this one's just like beta, as in it coming into the tester patch, or just alive. So you can now access a new experimental branch, the Manor Lords. Saves to avoid any potential issues. It's recommended to make a backup of your save files before switching to a beta version. Mods. Please remove any mods you have before beginning a new save to ensure you can play without interference from an outdated mod. To find your save, press Windows E, paste %profile, user profile, not literally user profile, just your user profile name. Update a local Manor savings. Yada yada yada. If you'd like to try it, please follow these steps. Open Steam, right click on Manor Lords in your library, select properties, go to the betas tabs, enter the password. Very nice basket. Yes, indeed, that's a very nice basket. Choose release from the beta participation drop down list. Wait for the game to update the files. If nothing happens, restart the Steam client, launch the game. All new strings might not be localized yet, and stability hasn't been thoroughly tested. Some balancing changes are still experimental, so you know, if you want to try the beta patch before it goes live, follow these instructions. And here's the Discord and the feedback form. If you're going to the beta patch, you might want to go to the Discord. And porting game to Unreal Engine 5. Unfortunately, we faced a moment when Unreal Engine 4, the engine Manor Lords was using, was no longer officially supported. Oof. This meant that some bugs and crashes, including one randomly happening on a loading screen, and one bug when the game would brick when changing resolutions to uneven numbers, would not be fixed. I actually understand that feeling. The SDKs for console development. I may not be a professional and have never really uploaded a game, but I have messed with the Unreal Engine. I do know how buggy that is. So therefore, we decided we had to update Unreal Engine 5. The process was supposed to be easy on paper. Still, as usual in practice, there were a ton of tiny changes and a ton of little things broke, from particle systems, texture compression, and physics simulation to button padding. Yes, practically every single button in the game had to be manually fixed because they all got stretched. The old engine bugs mentioned above are gone. A lot of engine systems were refined, so if you place roads, the road mask no longer flickers, which I do remember that being a thing. Tessellation was removed from the engine, so the snow distortion resolution is slightly lower than it was, but should still look fine. I experimented with lumens, the new lighting system. Still, I found the lighting to look the same, or in some particular situation worse for this specific type of game. No interior camera, often super high up. All while costing performance, I decided to leave it disabled in the end. We have tested Nanite, yet since there was not enough time for thorough performance testing, since there was not enough time for thorough performance testing, I tested the new shadow system, VSM. It gives beautiful sharp shadows, but during testing I noticed that the performance depends on the sun's angle, so while it works fine without a day and night cycle, FPS drops massively when the sun moves it, especially during sunset. I left it in for now, but I'm unsure if it should be kept. I implemented Epic's new volumetric clouds. That is my air conditioner going off. Give me a second. I implemented Epic's new volumetric clouds. They are more dramatic than the system I was using before. The one Harry, Debug, and Melyanov, and they interact more naturally with other systems like Fog. They might be slightly heavier to render, so up to the community to decide whether it's worth it. So far, the closed alpha vote was to keep them. There's still room for art direction, but I didn't want to spend too much time on it. Some calculations. Instant LOD specifically were moved from CPU to GPU, which should make endgame performance smoother. That might hopefully fix some problems. Fishing. They've introduced fishing. We got shoal fishing resource nodes. This is a new building called Fisherman's Hut, which does what you imagine. The pond freezes the water, and the development branch called Winter Fishing must keep using it. Fish multiply in the spring months only based on the current population numbers, similar to wild animals, and therefore can be overfished. A fishing limit was added to make avoiding it easier. When droughts occur, ponds shrink, and the fish population is capped at 50% at its maximum capacity. So we can have droughts, and droughts are not fun. When droughts come, becomes famine. So trade overview. Trade overview. You can check all transactions from every region and see your overall trade balance, which is very important in any game. Butchers. Introduction to butchers. A butcher shop artisan conversion was added. Butchers can take surplus livestock and convert it into meat. That is very, very, very good news. And apparently they can make sausages. Food spoilage, salt sausages. So we now got food spoilages. Hell yeah. So food and certain crops will now spoil. Every type of food has a separate monthly spoilage rate. For instance, fish spoil faster than bread. Fish would practically spoil overnight. I'm gonna be honest with you. Different buildings also have different spoilage rate reductions, the large granary being the best. Contrary to the score vote, we decided to risk it and represent rates by words rather than numbers, since the new game designer working on the game, Darren, wanted to try it, arguing that not knowing the specific number is better for immersion, and the player cannot react to such granularity between what is low and very low, for instance, but if it poses a problem, we could restore the percent value. So this is only in the test phase. I actually don't mind the spoilage rate low, although I would like to know, like, a little bit of extra information when it says low. You can maybe go to the tutorial that says low means a certain amount of time or days, medium certain amount of time or days, high certain amount of time or days. That would be super helpful. It doesn't have to be accurate. It just needs like a minimum time and a maximum time, and I think they should add that. That way, even when we see the low, medium, or high, we can easily determine the amount of time minimum or average it will take to for the spoil, so we can like plan accordingly. So a salt deposit has been added. That's really good. Will it be infinite like the others, or is it going to be limited? Because I'd like for it to be infinite. If it's not infinite, that's very unfortunate, but nah. Production limits and reserves. All workplaces can now set production limits. Furthermore, we can have production limits. That's so good. That's actually been one of my biggest pet peeves, because we would often end up with so much more resources like iron or wood than we actually want or need, and I had to build storage rooms everywhere. That was a pain. So it wasn't just iron ores, like iron slabs and the like, and it was really difficult because I was producing faster than I could sell them, and that was, I'll be honest, that was really frustrating. So we don't have to necessarily worry about the storage rooms now. The storage rooms where we technically had to do it all individually, although some of them more than others, but man. And crossbow units, one of the deadliest units in the game. You know, historically, the Pope banned crossbows. Not that it was being followed at all, but Pope decided that crossbows should be banned because they kill people too easily. Unsurprisingly, he didn't ban it for foreign wars or foreign religious wars, but that's what you decided. Anyway, various visual improvements. You may notice that the spring is now more green and less brownish. I can't tell. The main menu was reworked to be more historically accurate. The ox now bends when turning. The ox now bends when turning, so now it no longer looks like silly, I guess. I honestly like the silliness, to be honest. Some animations got polished. There are also new leader portraits and coat of arms symbols to play with. They look kind of different compared to the others. But then again, I can't really see him. I do like this old looking guy. He looks kind of like a wise sage. And we got some new coat of arms. Optimizations. We spent a lot of time optimizing CPU usage for late game situations with multiple towns and hundreds of inhabitants, and optimizing load times for those hefty saves. You know, I have to give him credit because before the demo, or during the demo, the optimization was awful. It was really difficult to actually play in high population sizes, so we couldn't really, it was really hard to play. I actually ended up uninstalling the demo to try to reinstall it on SSD to see if that would fix the problem, but it turns out you can only have it for a limited time, so I couldn't reinstall the demo, and I regret it. I regret uninstalling the demo. The demo was great. Even though the optimization was terrible, the demo was great. But when they finally released the testing phase or whatever, I noticed a very huge improvement in the performance. So honestly, they did very well with improving that. So text improvements, slowly but steadily, we are improving the in-game wiki and cleaning up all the tooltips. You will now find new entities in the wiki that should help explain, for example, what a family is in the game's context. Bug fixes. We fixed a lot of bugs, including a few frequently requested in the community. So the full changelog is right here. Upgraded the game to run on Unreal Engine 5. A lot of engine bugs and crashes should no longer occur, including random crashes during loading a save game or certain resolutions breaking the game. Experimental, a new virtual shadow map system that produces very sharp high-resolution shadows, new volumetric clouds, and atmosphere rendering, GPU-based LOD for instance components. Added a trade overview in the development screen, which lists all the previous transactions done by the region. Food spoilage mechanic. Each food type decays at a certain rate per month. For instance, fish decays faster than bread. Well, I'd expect it to. Obviously, that should be a lot faster than bread. They should be decaying faster than meat itself. Really easy to get sick with fish. Maybe it depends on the fish, to be honest. But anyway, certain buildings affect spoilages. For instance, storing in a granary is better than storing in the workplace's pantry. Weather events can affect spoilage rates, so droughts make food spoil quicker. Not summer? Well, I guess this makes sense. So added a new resource node, fishing pod, made so that ponds freeze in the water. Added a new development branch, winter fishing, that enables fishing all year round. Added a new food source, fish. So, you know, I think they need to have salted fish along in there. So crossbows, added a new military resource, crossbows, made in the bowyer's workshop. Added a new unit type, light mercenary crossbowmen and militia crossbowmen. Added a new range low tier mercenary group, the huntsmen. Butchers, implemented the butcher artisan conversion. Butchers take surplus sheep and lamb and convert them into meat. Added a new deposit, salt, and re-added the salt resource, which is mined with the surface/deep mine. Oh, so you can you can make it you can make it permanent. So that's very good for anyone who wants to have a permanent supply of salt. So added a new resource, sausage. 1 salt plus 1 meat equals 2 sausage. It is made in the butcher's workshop and has much lower spoilage rate than meat. Added a system of production limits and reserves for workplaces crafting goods. Removed the individual limits, construction limit, hunting limit, and rerouted everything to the new reserve UI in the advanced tab. This way, fishermen huts now also get a fishing limit to avoid overfishing. Gameplay imbalance. Adjusted deposit spawning should be per region: one clay, one iron, one deer, one berry, one stone, plus one random. Then either two of them or one, and farming fertility get promoted to a rich deposit. Is that research? Brought rich deposits closer to the starting camp on the first spawn, if possible, to make the starts a little bit more balanced. Which, honestly, it was one of the frustrating things I went through. I had to constantly respawn. But yeah, especially considering the berries and the meats were too far away. I don't know why they were so far, but added a pantry to the malt house. Malt house now actually requires refueling. Advanced skinning development branch doubles the meat from butchers as well. First butcher workshop built will set a sheep and lamb reserve automatically to a half of the population in order to avoid butchering the whole flock. Automatically, so half. I think at the start, when we're getting sheep and lamb, what about like cattle though? Well, when we get sheep and lamb, I want it to be like real, maybe 75% as opposed to half. So rewrote the random node algorithm to reduce cases where fails to find an appropriate spot and spawns an object in the wrong location. E.g. spawning a bandit camp on top of a pond. I added multiple paragraphs breaks to wiki descriptions. A setting was added to display resource node deposits icons in construction mode only. Made advanced tab highlight every time an artisan workshop is created so that the player notices the new settings of production focus and reserved for butchers. Experimental. A new way of spawning bandit camps that is more randomized and should now avoid spawning them on top of ponds. They said that twice. Move production production focus to the advanced building panel tab and livestock assignments to the livestock building panel tab. Added missing lambs icon, wiki text, and tooltip updates. Fish pond water level should lower during droughts. Added drought impact to the spoilage tooltip. Added new coat of arms symbols. Added new character portraits. Lowered the interface scale on smaller resolutions to reduce the top region panel overlapping with the lords panel and screen edge. Improved collision avoidance if two characters are already extremely near collision distance or in collision. So collision avoidance. They're adding collision avoidance. Imagine, won't that hurt the performance though? Like, there's not too much collision when it comes to NPCs in this game, and that's mostly, you think that'd be by design, considering, well, we'll see how the performance is. So, optimization added advanced calling for transform updates, should make high population sessions run much faster. Experimental fireplace light simulation lot added, automation, experimental optimization of surface checks and fire reaction checks. Experimental optimize unit rotation smoothing far from the camera. Experimental ground height checks optimization. Experimental locomotion velocity and animation speed calculation optimizations. Unit static collision system optimizations. Grass system optimizations. Significant crowd animation system optimizations. Experimental distributed unit motion calculations over multiple frames to make the frame rate smoother. Optimize a calculation to push forces in combat. Reduce stutter after loading a save file by moving the loading of the construction assets into the loading screen, and consequence making the loading screen a bit longer. Pathfinding optimizations. Optimize memory usage. Fix the crash And when the player deleted a squad by R&B during the rallying tool being active with the squad. Fix the crash when relocating a forager with herbs garden while one of the workers has a task related to the garden, and then reassigning the worker in the relocated building. Fix the crash for saves that had bugged zero yield field because the player placed such a narrow plot it couldn't be triangulated properly. Bug fixes. Fixed the deer not migrating back to their lair location if the camera is far due to optimization. Introduced 0.7.975. Go to farms that are field E, not displaying text properly. Fix saving erasing ownership data of items in the inventory, leading for instance to woodcutters transporting log pieces to the storehouse. Fix rounding up influence value shown in UI may give an impression that claiming territory is not working correctly. A fix placing a road over carts permanently remove them from game. I'm so glad I didn't experience that. Limiting farmhouses work area does not prevent workers from gathering already harvested crops from the fields. Fixed. After destroying the well, buildings do not lose water access. Fixed attempt for militia potentially not unequipping their military gear if they are disbanded while still inside their houses, leading to anim data not bound errors for civilian actions, happening when dressed in military type body. Fixed bloomers over refueling their workplaces. Fixed castle modules costing too many resources to confirm whether it was already present in the public build. Fix the extension / conversion sound signatures not applying the volume settings. Added a temp workaround for snowflakes not displaying on AMD GPUs. Fixed black shrubs occurring during a drought. Fixed snap to roads checkbox not doing anything when placing plots. Added a fixed attempt for player being to place fields that are almost self-intersecting, leading to them being unselectable and or having zero fertility. Fixed save game and loading game header text getting mixed up in the load menu. Fixed deer getting stuck if bandits are near. Fixed deer getting scared of birds and running away, potentially forever. Fun one. That's interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing. People are really good at discovering bugs for this game. I gotta say, I never even noticed that. One-handed combo animation Polish and two-handed idle pulls Polish. Those are cosmetics that I'm reading. Experimental chains back that deposit icons to be all flat shaded for unification. Made drought transition smoother. Added turning animations for oxen so they appear less stiff when moving. I actually kind of like the stiff movement. It's kind of funny. Spring color palette tweaks to overall appear less yellowish. Main menu scenes reworked for better historical authenticity. Two-handed combat animation cleanup. Attack, defend, combos. Furthermore, field material art direction and specular variation, more precise height calculation on landscape deforming meshes like mines. Final thoughts, I have to be honest, this patch was tough, especially since they had to port it to Unreal Engine 5, but I don't want to make excuses. I hope future ones will come quicker. Thank you for your patience, support in playing the game. Please continue sharing your thoughts and feedback in this Steam review. Greg Steitzen, hope I'm not butchering that name. So I'm probably butchering that name, I'm gonna be honest. Lead developer Slavic Magic. So don't forget to, if you want to play this beta, beta test this update, be sure to read this to try it. So if you'd like to try it, please follow the steps. Open Steam, right click on Manor Lord's UI bar, select properties, go to betas, enter password, very nice basket, choose pre-release from the beta participation drop down list. Wait for the game to update the files. If nothing happens, restart the Steam client, launch the game. And don't forget to go to the forums and the Discord server to report any bugs that you find. And that was the update. That was a pretty long read through, that's for sure. So they did get a lot. It was a long time since they updated, but it was a pretty decently big update. So Their last update was in June, so like 2 months. So they got quite a bit done. It looks like they were delayed because they had to go to Unreal Engine 5. But otherwise, this actually looks interesting. So anyway, that was basically this whole entire read-through. This was a long read-through. I had to read this for 25 minutes. This is, I mean, it wasn't even, I'm confused. 25 minutes I went through this entire thing. It took me that long to just read into this entire update. But yeah, that does say that does say a lot about this update. That's a, you know, it doesn't seem that big, but it is a lot bigger than most updates I've seen. So yeah. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this update, and I hope you enjoy Manor Lords. It's a pretty good game. I recommend it, really do. And anyway, I'll see you guys next time. And also, I live stream, so if you want to see my live streams, I'm currently playing there Billions. I might go back to Manor Lords. I'm also definitely playing some Hoi 4. Anyway, if you want to check those out, please like and subscribe. Or if you're watching from Rumble, leave a follow. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. And good day.